morning. Welcome to the Blue Earth County Board of Commissioners meeting of July 28th, 2026. We start our meeting with the pledge, so those of you that can, please stand and join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we'll start out with the agenda review.
Madam Chair, there are no changes to the agenda.
Thank you.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we're going to have a hearing on Ditch 59, County Ditch 59.
Morning, Jordan.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So good morning and welcome to the final hearing for the redetermination of benefits for County Ditch 59. First item is an agenda review. When you're ready.
All right. No changes to the agenda, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I need a motion.
Move the review.
Second.
I need discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay, the purpose of today's hearing is to listen to the viewer's report and receive comments from all parties interested in the redetermination of benefits for the County Ditch 59. The order of business for this hearing is as follows. Staff will review the jurisdictional documents. We will hear from the appointed viewers, and then we will open the hearing to the public for comments. I will ask Blue Earth County Drainage Staff, Jordan Williamson, to review the jurisdictional documents.
Right. Landowner informational meeting was held on June 15th, 2026. Hearing notices mailed out on July 2nd, 2026. Notice was posted for this hearing outside the Blue Earth County Historic Courthouse located at 204 South 5th Street, Mankato, Minnesota. Notice of public hearing was also published in the Mankato Free Press for 3 consecutive weeks, including dates July 9th, 16th, and 23rd, 2026. And I have a brief memo here. Some background, the Blue Earth County Ditch 59 watershed is approximately 2,300 acres in size and located in Ceresco and Vernon Center townships. On December 17, 2024, the Blue Earth County Drainage Authority approved a findings and order initiating a redetermination of benefits for County Ditch 59. Viewers were appointed in order to create an updated benefits and damages listing and viewers report. A copy of the draft viewers report for the redetermination of benefits was submitted to Blue Earth County Drainage Management staff on May 1st, 2026. An informational landowner meeting was held on June 15, 2026 to discuss the draft viewers report and property owners report. On June 23, 2026, the Drainage Authority approved setting a final hearing date for the redetermination of benefits for County Ditch 59 for July 28, 2026. We request approval of the drafted or subsequently amended findings in order, approving the viewers report, including the updated benefits and damages for County Ditch 59. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Jordan.
I'll move the jurisdictional documents. Second.
A motion and a second. All in discussion. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right, we'll have the ditch viewer report. Ms.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Wes Dahl. I'm one of the viewers that worked on this process, along with Mark Behrens. Worked down in Freeborn County, and we worked on County Ditch 59. We're members of the Minnesota Viewers Association. There's 4 or 5 trainings a year you can go to become accredited. So there's about 3 or 4 other groups throughout the state that do this viewing. So whether it's our group or another group, the process would be similar. Within the viewing process, we look at 5 main items to determine your benefits. 1, the number of acres you have on this number of acres you have. 2, your soil type. 3, your location rate, how far you physically are from the open ditch or county tile. Whether or not you have county tile on your property, and then the efficiency of the system. Those 5 items come together to determine a benefit value. With the benefit value, we add everybody's benefit value up, divide yours out, and get your percent of total benefits. When there's repair or maintenance on the system, obviously the whole bill has to be paid, and you pay your percent of the total bill. Like they said, we had a meeting with the landowners to explain the process, answer any questions. All of our contact information was sent out to the landowners. We welcome any comments to address any concerns, something unique about their parcel or property. We built a book on each system, and it's the landowner's information. We're more than happy to share that information with landowners. If we are shared any private tile maps, we do not share private tile maps. Those are individuals' property, but we will show how we broke out their parcel or their neighbor's parcel. Like I said, we have kind of a standard way we break everything out, and we will adjust numbers up or down based on any information we learn from the landowners. County Ditch 59 was established in 1920. It has not been redetermined since it was established. There are a total of 2,358 acres in the system, and it consists of county tile and no county open ditch. There is 45,610 feet of county tile on the system, and we arrived at a benefit amount of $2,737,000 worth of benefits in the County Ditch 59. There is a large repair being considered on the system, but we're looking at just the redetermination of benefits to get a baseline, and so we use the estimated assessment of $5,000 for a starting point. That's all I have, and I will answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you. No questions? At this time, we'll open the public comment portion of the hearing. If you'd like to make a comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Comments from the public are expected to be civil and respectful. Please note the meeting is being recorded. There's a 5-minute time limit, and the county administrator will give you a 1-minute warning and let you know when you've used the allotted time. In addition, the board may restrict or limit the time allotted to a person whose remarks are repetitive or not relevant to the matter under consideration by the board. Anyone wishing to make comments?
Yes, I would.
All right.
I'm real green at this. I don't know what I'm really going to say.
That's okay. If you could just introduce yourself, please, your name and your address.
My name is Sandra Radloff. My address is New Ulm. I'm from New Ulm, but I have land.
Okay.
The culvert that they want to repair or replace, one or the other, is on my land. And my understanding is that they probably, no matter, they aren't, my bill will be between $90,000 maybe and $126,000 without moving a piece of dirt on my land. That they're going to work on a different branch. We're in our 80s, and I don't know how we're going to pay for this. You know, I'm all for improvement, but I don't know how you would pay for this. And I'm not the only one. I think there's about 30 families involved in this. And nobody wants to do the petition because of all the finality that goes with it, the bonding and all the, what can happen afterwards if it doesn't, whatever. So I'm just here to say that I'm upset, I'm stressed, we're in our 80s, I don't have a clue how we're going to handle this. It's a lot of money. If there's any way of anybody, and everybody's afraid to say something. You know, so I just want to let you know that I finally decided we have to give up our, which is a sad sob story for me, but my nursing home insurance of 29 years I paid for, I'd have to have the money from that, and my farm insurance would have to go to have some money to pay on this every year, I guess. I mean, my husband's almost 90 and has health conditions. I don't know how we handle these things. So that's my comment. I'm disappointed that this has to be. I would like to see it not happen. 82 years and we've always had a crop. We had 4 inches of rain 10 days ago. There wasn't a puddle left. So, you know, I just think we should leave it alone. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to make comment for the County Ditch 59 redetermination of benefits final hearing? Last time for anyone wishing to make comments for the County Ditch 59 redetermination of benefits final hearing. Hearing no further comments, I will close the public comment portion of the hearing. Approval of viewers' report for the redetermination of benefits. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Is there a motion and a second to accept?
Well, I guess I comment, I think one thing we need to remember is, this is the ROB portion of it. So this is really, and Wes could probably speak to this better than I as a viewer, but this is the public comment period on, did they get the percentages right of no matter what it is, an improvement or a repair. So this is kind of your piece of the pie. We don't know, according to this, the pie was what, $5,000 pie. As we looked at 2 repair options and, at least what, 3 or 4 repair options, we know that pie is going to be much bigger than that, and that's the concern. But that will be probably a big enough pie to where there'll be meetings on that, there'll be hearings on that. There'll be, if it's anything like any one of the other 107 ditch systems, there'll be multiple landowner meetings and finessing to kind of get what everybody can agree on. So, and that all has to be coming through hearings and process like this. So today what we're doing is we're just looking at, is your percentage assessment right? And making sure, and we've talked before, Commissioner Brunder, the landowner meetings are so helpful, making sure we know who's got land tiled in or tiled out of the watershed and things like that. So, kind of to Sandy's point, there'll be a lot of other discussions on what we're gonna do repair, you're gonna do repair or improvement, and what type of thing down the road. This is really only accepting the viewer's report. Did I get that right, Wes? Correct.
Thank you for that. So I need a motion?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This motion carries. This will conclude the County Ditch 59 redetermination of benefits hearing. All right. We'll move on to County Ditch 77. We will now move into the County Ditch 77 final hearing involving the petition for removal of property under Minnesota statute 103E.805. The first item is agenda review.
Madam Chair, there are no changes to the agenda.
I'll move the agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. So the purpose of today's hearing is to receive comments from all parties interested in the petition for removal of property under Minnesota statute 103E.805. The order of business for this hearing is as follows. Staff will review the jurisdictional documents. We will hear from the appointed viewer and appointed engineer, and then we will open for the public comment. So I'll ask Blue Earth County Drainage Staff Jordan Williamson to review the jurisdictional documents.
Thank you. Landowner informational meeting was held on June 25th, 2026. Hearing notice is mailed out July 28th, 2026. Notice was posted for the hearing outside the Blue Earth County Historic Courthouse located at 204 South 5th Street, Mankato, Minnesota. Notice of public hearing was also published in the Mankato Free Press for 3 consecutive weeks, including dates July 9th, 16th, and 23rd, 2026. And I just have a short memo here to read. The County Ditch 77 watershed has approximately 3,491 benefited acres and is located in McPherson Township. A petition for removal was received by the Property Environmental Resources Drainage Management staff on February 11, 2025. On April 8, 2025, the Blue Earth County Drainage Authority for County Ditch 77, by findings in order, appointed a viewer and an engineer to aid in the petition and give their respective reports. A copy of the draft viewers and engineers reports for the petition for removal were submitted to Blue Earth County Drainage Management staff on March 9, 2026. On June 23, 2026, the County Ditch 77 Drainage Authority set a date, time, and location for today's hearing. We request the County Ditch 77 Drainage Authority approve the draft findings in order for the petition for removal of property under Minnesota Statute 103E.805 affecting portions of County Ditch 77. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Jordan.
I'll move the jurisdictional I'm sorry.
Second.
No, that's good. And it's, okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? Motion carries.
We got to vote.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we will have the appointed viewer for this ditch to come forward. Is that Wes or is it going to be Mark?
Mark today.
Mark today. Okay.
Mark for this one.
Mark for this one.
Morning, Mark.
Good morning, Mark.
Turn this a little bit, please. I'm Mark Behrens. I'm the viewer that worked on this petition. You heard Wes talk about the viewing process, how we go about our work. A little info on this County Ditch 77. It was established in 1948, was redetermined in 2000, not by our group, but a different group. But the process is similar on how all the redeterminations work. It's got county open ditch and county tile. There's about 2.9 miles of open ditch, 9.3 miles of county tile on this system. There's, according to the benefit list, there's 3,300 acres within this system. All of this information was handed out, and some of it was handed out here also. On this petition, I'll pronounce this wrong, the Gensel property is petitioning out of County Ditch 77. Not all of their property, but some of their property. They've got 131 acres within this system that has benefits to 77. There's 44 acres that are petitioning out. They went into a permanent government program, and I believe Jacob will talk about that. But there's ponds that are on that property, but in a big rain event, some of their water on that 44 acres still gets into County Ditch 77. So those 48 acres, we do not remove them from the benefit list, but we reduce them by 95%. So they will still pay toward any repair and maintenance on that system, but at a much reduced rate on those 44 acres. So previously, the Gensel property had 78,000 worth of benefits on that parcel. And after the reduction, their property will have $45,000 worth of benefits. So they will pay less on any repair and maintenance. All the other properties on County Ditch 77 will pay just a tad more. So it's fair, they're still using the system, but they're still helping pay toward it. A lot of info there, but I'm happy to answer any questions anyone might have. And Jacob will talk more about the process and of the engineering portion of it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right,
Mark.
thank you.
Jacob, engineers report. At this time, we'll have you come up.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. My name is Jacob Mueller. I'm with ISG, working on this project alongside Adam Stenzel. Like Mark had said, I'm going to present some of the engineering findings related to this petition for removal, and specifically in relation to the Gensel property and the wetland bank that was established. So a little bit of what we're going to talk about is Minnesota Statute 103E.805, a bit of overall watershed information and history, the pre-project conditions being those conditions prior to 2024 before the bank was established, and after 2024 when it had been, a little bit of the findings on our analysis, and finally our conclusions. So a little bit on Minnesota Statute 103E.805, specifically the portion of statute related to removing property from a drainage system. Three criteria kind of come up into play at the final hearing. The first being that the waters from the petitioner's property have been diverted from the drainage system, or that the property cannot significantly or regularly use the drainage system. 2, that the property is not benefited by the drainage system, and 3, that removing the property from the drainage system will not prejudice the property owners and property remaining in the system. Basically, these would be the criteria that would need to be met for a full removal of property from a system. With that, we can look at a bit of existing conditions and capacities. So again, CD77's in McPherson Township, a little over 3,300 acres. It's a very flat system with heavy clay soils. Again, very similar to a lot of the systems in Blue Earth County, requiring drainage to retain a farmable condition. The system was constructed just before 1950. As Mark said, there was a lot of open ditch dug and a large extent of public tile that was installed. Specific to the Gensel Wetland Bank that we're going to be talking about, that 44-acre parcel, that was construction finalized in April of 2024, and that drains a total of approximately an 820-acre watershed, all within the CD77 system. So a pretty significant portion, nearly 20%, or around 20% of the CD77 system drains through the Gensel Wetland Bank. Here's an existing watershed map. There's a dashed black line around the boundary of the public system. That is the CD77 watershed. The purple boundary is what drains to the Gensel Wetland Bank. As you can see, this drains the main tile, branch 3, branch 6, etc. So there's a lot of public tile that come and drain into this wetland bank. The only public infrastructure which drains through this wetland bank is the main tile, and it outlets into the main open ditch. There was portions of the main tile or main open ditch which were abandoned as a portion of this, or infrastructure which was abandoned to facilitate this bank. Looking at the existing elevation map, this is a digital elevation map. The light colors are low elevations, being those kind of green and cyan colors, and the white and red are the high elevations. The watershed for the Gensel Wetland Bank is one of the steepest in the CD77 watershed. This allowed the daylighting of tiles into the bank, such as the mainline tile and other private tiles. So essentially there's public infrastructure which drains into this bank and then subsequently outlets from it. Here's a bit more of a zoomed in view. These are plans that were developed as portion of the bank process. You can see the outline of the bank is in dark black. You can see the portions where the ditch was filled and other earthwork. The green dashes are tile breaks or blocks. This was required as portion of the project to disable drainage on the immediate site, so they've stopped utilizing subsurface drainage on the actual portion of the property. A bit on the petition. So there's the parcel information. We're in section 28 of McPherson Township, it's the Gensel Jonathan T property. In total, it's a little over 131 acres, and the petition is specific to the 44 acres that are the wetland bank. A little bit of information on a wetland bank. This is a perpetual sort of easement. This is done for profit, so agricultural land is reverted back to a natural condition. And then credits are generated from that, and those are sold to developers that are subsequently going to use those to disturb another wetland. So this is essentially a perpetual land use change into a native condition. Some of the photos from the project site you can see here. This is the upstream side where the mainline tile dumps into the wetland bank. So there's public infrastructure coming into the bank. On the downstream side, this is the weir, which controls the water level in the bank. This keeps it at a constant maintained water level, which is required through the wetland banking process to produce these native conditions. This goes directly into the main open ditch, so it is utilizing the main open ditch as an outlet. Here's some pre and post project conditions. 2 models were run to analyze the impacts of this essential petition. These models were actually run as a portion of the banking process to see what the impact to the public system would be at the time. So the picture you see on the left is the pre-project condition. The picture on the right, where everything is flooded, is the post-project condition. So what we found from this hydraulic analysis is that the Gensel Wetland Bank does reduce peak flow rates quite significantly on more standard storm events. On a 2-year event, it will reduce 80% of the peak flow rate that the public system experiences from this watershed. So it provides a very significant amount of storage, which is definitely a benefit to the CD77 system. We've heard in previous landowner meetings that in certain segments of the open ditch, it's very prone to flooding, burdening landowners downstream. So This large increase in storage and reduction in peak flow rates is certainly a benefit to the public system. With that said, it still does discharge to the CD77 system in every modeled storm event. So it is utilizing it for an outlet. It will perpetually contribute flow, so it's not entirely offline from the CD77 system. In addition, what we talked about earlier, it does still function as an outlet for upstream public tile, so it's kind of a throughway for the public system. So looking at all this together, those 3 points we kind of talked about initially, we kind of have answers to those now. So first, the waters from the petitioner's property are not entirely diverted from the CD77 drainage system, as the petitioned property discharges into the CD77 mainline open ditch through the weir. Two, the petitioned property continues to be benefited by the drainage system as the property utilizes the main open ditch to discharge hydrology as the weir overtops. Third, removing the petitioned properties would separate the CD77 public tile, the mainline tile, from the downstream open ditch. Ultimately, if it were moved, it would not need to rely on the public system. Without reliance on the public system, the property's maintained water levels would expand and expand and expand, kind of diverting from the original goals of the bank and potentially impacting neighboring properties. For these reasons, and based on Minnesota Statute 103E.805, the engineer believes that the petitioned 44 acres of the property should not be entirely removed from the CD77 drainage system, but agrees with the viewer's report that it does provide a benefit to the CD77 system, and it makes sense that it would see a reduced benefit. It's no longer farmed. It's not seeing the same type of benefit that it would have previously, as that benefit was looking at a farmed condition. Now it's just as an outlet to maintain their water. So, all in all, that kind of summarizes the engineer's findings. I'm happy to take any questions if you guys have them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jacob?
I have a clarifying question, and it's not really a question.
Yeah.
Would you go back to the weir photo? Was in quite a ways.
Right here.
Okay. Nope, that one. So it makes perfect sense when you think about it and you see it, but a lot of people don't see it right away. But everybody worries about what happens when the water backs up. You know, how does it affect me and the neighbors? But if you don't really look at it, you don't notice. So just help us explain. I mean, if the water gets so high, it kind of comes out over the middle part there, you know, to let, so it's a controlled release. And then if it gets higher yet, then we've got another piece where it comes over and do that. I mean, I think a lot of people, unless you've seen one or watched one, don't necessarily understand that that's engineered in. Would you just talk about that a minute?
For sure, yeah, I can explain the hydraulics of it a little bit. So if we think about the previous condition a little bit, it's just a cut channel, right? It's an open ditch. As the water comes, it'll take it as fast as it possibly can. There's really no control mechanism. In this case, we've got about a 6-foot wide shelf. This is what we call a variable crest weir. We use them a lot to very minutely control water levels and discharge rate. We've got this 6-foot shelf that's only about 6 feet tall at the bottom of that weir. At the top of it, it's probably only allowing about 3 cubic feet per second. So as that water level raises, it's proportionally only letting out a very little bit of water, yet storing a very large amount of water. When it gets above that secondary shelf, all of a sudden the shelf is now about 20 feet wide, and the discharge can go much higher. Basically, it's controlling at very specific elevations to generate storage as well as not overburdening the ditch system. So when we control water like this, we kind of saw it in the modeling results. We're seeing an 80% reduction in peak flow rates on like a 2-year event. This creates much less load on the downstream system. It utilizes the bank area to hold all of that water back, and essentially just kind of create this positive dynamic for both parties, where the wetland bank gets its desired hydrology, and the bank and stores some sediment for the ditch system, reducing future maintenance. And downstream, the public system is seeing much less flooding that would just race through that open ditch previously on its way to Rice Lake. So that's a bit of how the weir works, what the design goals are. Again, it's pretty common practice just to kind of really control water at different elevations and slow that rate down.
Thank you.
That work?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good question.
So at this time, we'll open the public comment portion of the hearing. As stated before, if you'd like to make a comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Comments from the public are expected to be civil and respectful. Is there anyone wishing to make comments today for today's hearing on County Ditch 77 petition for removal of property? Anyone wishing to give comment for the County Ditch 77 petition for removal of property? Not looking like it. Last time, anyone wishing to make comments for the County Ditch 77 petition for removal of property's final hearing? Hearing no further comments, I will close the public comment portion of the hearing. Approval of draft findings and order granting partial removal of benefits from County Ditch 77 for petitioner. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I don't have any questions. I would move approval.
Okay.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that concludes the County Ditch 77 petition for removal of property final hearing. All right. So now we're moving on to County Ditch 56.
56.
And I just bragged that my eyes were working better. So, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Blue Earth County Ditch 56 is located in Garden City and Lincoln Townships. Blue Earth County Drainage Authority approved public bids for CD 56 Branch 3 repairs, awarding the repair contract to Selly Excavating on May 27th of 2025. Drainage management staff received an engineer's acceptance of contract report for the County Ditch 56 Branch 3 repairs on July 9th of 2026. All contractual work has been completed by the contractor, and now is the appropriate time to schedule a hearing for the acceptance of contract. Today, we are respectfully asking the County Ditch 56 Drainage Authority set the contract acceptance hearing date for August 25th, 2026 at 9 a.m. in the Blue Earth County Board of Commissioners room located on the second floor of the historic courthouse building.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. On to the next.
Next one is County Ditch 73. Blue Earth County Ditch 73 is located in Lyra Township. Blue Earth County Drainage Authority approved the quote for repairs, awarding the repair contract to Leland Excavating and Drainage on September 9th of 2025. Property Environmental Resources Department Drainage Management staff received the engineer's acceptance of contract report for the approved County Ditch 73 repairs on July 9th of 2026. All contractual work has been completed by the contractor, and now is the appropriate time to schedule the hearing for the acceptance of contract. We respectfully ask the County Ditch 73 Drainage Authority set the contract acceptance hearing for August 25th of 2026 at 9 a.m. in the Blue Earth County Board of Commissioners room located on the second floor of the historic courthouse building. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I'll move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to Ditch 97.
The Blue Earth County Ditch 97 watershed is approximately 2,600 acres in size, located in Lyra Township. A petition to outlet additional acres into CD 97 has been received by Drainage Management staff. Drainage Authority Attorney Cale R. Van Bruggen of Rankin Union reviewed the petition and found it to be adequate for these proceedings under Minnesota Statute 103E.401. Today, we request that the Drainage Authority appoint Engineer Charles J. Brandel of ISG to review the documents provided in the petition and prepare an opinion letter in accordance with Minnesota Statute 103E. We also request appointing viewer Mark Behrens to make recommendations for an outlet fee and benefits for additional acres petition for County Ditch 97. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I'll move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that ends our drainage section of our
Thanks, guys.
meeting. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jacob, Mark.
Wes, for your help.
All right. Flip the room a little bit here.
Mike.
There we go. Everybody ready? All right, we'll move on to planning and zoning.
Good morning, P and Z
Morning.
staff.
Ladies and gentlemen. You too.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Be picking on John right away.
Well, yeah, somebody has to. All right, so the next item on the agenda is planning and zoning. Planning and zoning staff are here to present their action items. This is a public hearing, and public comment will be allowed in just a moment. As previously stated, comments should be civil and respectful. If you haven't already done so, please sign in on the clipboard at the back of the room. So I'll have you guys, planning and zoning staff, introduce yourselves for the record and introduce the first item.
John Considine, County Zoning Administrator.
Jenny Mokel Johnson, Planning and Zoning Staff.
Scott Salisbury, Land Use Planner.
Thank you.
All right, the first item is PC 12-26. It would be for Jason and Shannon Beal. It is a request for review and approval of an interim use permit to operate a short-term rental. The property is zone conservation and is located in the Shoreland District of Loon Lake. The property consists of lots 3 and 4, Howard Shore Edition, Section 3, Garden City Township. That would be Township 107 North, Range 28 West, and the property address is 52084 190th Lane, Lake Crystal, Minnesota. We did have this item on the July 1st Planning Commission meeting in which staff presented the staff report and submitted comments. We did receive one comment from an adjacent neighbor. The applicant was present and confirmed the information on the staff report, and there were no comments received from the public at that meeting. So following discussion, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to forward a recommendation of approval to the county board based on findings and conditions prepared by staff. So we are requesting right now board action of passage of the resolution based on the recommendations of the Planning Commission. Are there any questions for staff?
Any questions? Okay. So at this time, we'll open the public comment portion of the hearing. If you would like to make a comment regarding PC 12-26, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Anyone wishing to speak to PC 12-26? Anyone wishing to make comment? Okay, come on up.
No.
Nope.
Next.
Okay, last time. Anyone wishing to make comment on 12-26? We will close the public comment portion of the hearing. Are there any comments from the board?
Nope, I would move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Is this basically a VRBO
Yes.
or an Airbnb?
Basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Go ahead with your next item.
All right, item 2 is Planning Commission 13-26. The applicant is Tony Marble and Kayla Forsythe. This is a request for an after-the-fact interim use permit for grading to allow for the cumulative movement of more than 500 cubic yards of material for a dirt bike practice area. The practice area is for personal use, not intended for the public. The site is located in the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter and the northwest quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 1 Rapidan Township. The property is zoned agriculture and the address is 56629 192nd Lane in Mankato. At the Planning Commission meeting, staff presented the staff report. The applicants were present and provided background information on the project, the application history, their daughter's interest in dirt bike racing. Multiple members of the public provided comments in opposition of the project related to the time of day dirt bikes were allowed to operate, noise, location of pipeline, of the gas pipeline. The Planning Commission discussed the permit history and other concerns were brought forward by members of the public. Following the discussion of the Planning Commission, they voted unanimously to forward a recommendation of approval to the county board based on the findings and conditions prepared by staff. So following that meeting, county planning and zoning staff met with the neighbors to review their concerns. As a result of the discussion, staff drafted an updated condition of approval for the board's consideration. So I have a few pieces of information here to provide as well. Within the packet, we do have a summary of those meetings. They're located on pages 45 to 47, just for your reference. The meetings were held on July 6th, and that was with adjacent neighbor Ms. Jacobson, and then July 13 would be with Ms. Jacobson and Mr. and Mrs. Gerke. So the adjusted recommendation is a revised condition 2. So the revised condition 2 adjusts language related to time of day, and it also clarifies the expectation for, this is personal use, but clarifies the expectation for public use. So the revised condition states that the use of the practice area shall begin no earlier than 7 a.m. and cease by 8 p.m. Any public racing events or organized competitions, including advertising or marketing races, are prohibited. No spectator amenities such as bleachers, concessions would be permitted. So this is the revised condition 2 that was developed. We do have a few additional items to kind of hand out as well for reference points. So the first one is an image. It gives an idea just from a visual standpoint of the radius to the adjacent houses. So those blue dots that you see are the main motocross jumping areas. There are a couple of smaller areas as well. We did not map them out because they are so small that essentially you wouldn't be revving an engine up, or it wouldn't be making a lot of noise to do those really small jumps. So to give context, we have within 500 feet, we have 0 houses. Within that 1,000 feet, we have 1 house, and then 3 houses are within 1,500 feet. There is 1 commercial property, so if you see an address but you don't see that dot, that would be because there isn't a dwelling located on that property. So for reference as well, just for a comparison, our mining standards for a crushing operation, so within a mine site, we thought this would be kind of an appropriate comparison for you guys to kind of reference. So within our mining standards, the setback is 500 feet for a crushing operation within a mine site, and then a standalone mining operation would be 1,000 feet, just to give you kind of a visual representation. So after the packet was put together, we did receive an additional objection, so we wanted to provide that out to you as well. So you have a copy of that. And on Monday, I believe, yesterday, we received just a few additional signatures. So these are a few of the names that are within the packet as writing letters of objection, but they also signed this document as well. So for your reference, that was given to us yesterday as well. And then in addition to those objection signatures, we did receive a document from Mr. Murphy for you to review as well. Obviously, I can't speak to it, but it was provided to us.
Okay.
So one of the items I wanted to kind of talk through a little bit before we open it up to the public is sound attenuation, so sound attenuation standards. So we wanted to kind of talk through within our memo that we drafted, which describes the meetings with adjacent landowners. We also talked a little bit about sound attenuation. So when we looked at this, the complaints that we received, we wanted to kind of walk through a little bit the review that we did tied into the sound standards. So within Minnesota, sound attenuation is measured by the MPCA. So the MPCA has multiple responsibilities. So you're familiar with stormwater and a few of the other items. They're also responsible for administering the noise control. So that's tied in. Sound attenuation is tied into statute 7030, and it also clearly defines the responsibilities and the methodologies for measuring sound attenuation. So to assess the sound, staff use MPCA's Guide to Noise Control in Minnesota. It looks at acoustical properties, measurement and analysis and regulations. It served as our guidance document. So we reviewed the document along with sound level estimates provided by bike companies, which outline the required decibel levels for the bikes that they sell. So that was our starting point. We used a higher end estimate of potentially 90 decibels as a starting point. So that was our starting point. From there, we estimated the distance attenuation based on the guidance document, which states that sound is measured based on distance within a period of time. So sound levels decrease by approximately 3 decibels for each doubling of distance. So from there, we got out the handy spreadsheet and the calculator and started calculating. So we have a conservative estimate or a high estimate of 55 decibels to the closest house. So it is our estimate that we would have, the closest house would be potentially at 55 decibels as a high estimate for sound. And to give you an idea, the required state standard is 65 decibels. So we just wanted to walk through kind of those sound components as well to give you a few pieces of comparative analysis. So with that, are there any questions for staff?
So that 55 decibels, that would be with one motorcycle?
So that would be, we're assuming it based on, I believe, the one motorcycle for their daughter.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, the more bikes, the lower it is.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else?
I can
So-
just add a point of clarification
Sure.
too for the board's consideration. We have our recommendation, and this is realistically just a summary of what Jenny said, but we've provided a lot of information here. So before the board here this morning, we have the recommendation from the Planning Commission that recommends approval as originally presented at the July Planning Commission meeting. With our meetings with the neighbors, we have an updated condition for the board's consideration, and that's included on the 3rd page of the memo. Jenny kind of read that already into the record. So the board action would be deciding if they want to go with Planning Commission recommendation, their own decision, or staff has brought forward this revised condition as well. So staff's recommendation would be passage of the proposal, the project, with the amended condition number 2. And I can read that again into the record just so the board has all the information. So the revised condition is use of the practice area shall begin no earlier than 7 a.m., cease at 8 p.m. Any public racing events or organized competitions, including advertised or marketed races, are prohibited. No spectator amenities such as bleachers or concessions are permitted. That's realistically a rephrasing and a better clarification of what the condition was previously.
Okay. So are we ready for public comment?
Just one quick question. So everything we got today handed out, which wasn't in the published packet, will also be into the record then?
Correct.
Okay.
And I do want to make sure I clarify as well to your question about sound attenuation. That's based on, think of an open field too. So obviously sound decreases with the more vegetation.
Right,
So
and
it
there's a lot of trees in this area.
Yep, so it doesn't incorporate the
I
concept
understand
of a wooded vegetated area.
But we're talking about private use, we're not talking about
Yes.
using it as a racetrack or anything.
Private use.
Private use.
Okay. At this time, we're going to open the public comment portion of the hearing. If you would like to make a comment regarding PC 13-26, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone wishing to come to speak to PC 13-26? Yep. Good morning.
Fred Grotke, 56604, 192 Lane. Well, the first part may seem like I'm getting an Emmy award. I'd like to thank the commissioners for listening and hopefully hearing our concerns with the fiasco going on across from us, and thank Commissioner Pat for actually coming out last night, putting eyes on the project. And I thank Jennifer Mokel Johnson, John Considine, and their staff. Once they were made aware of this problem, they were out there promptly. But as all of April, the bulldozer and 4 or 5 skid loaders were working early morning to late at night, at times 10 or 11 p.m. under large construction lights. According to Ms. Johnson, Tony did take out a building permit for a house barn and a pond. No mention of a dirt bike motocross track then. Well, as far as we can tell, there's been no work done on a house or a barn, but the motocross track is about done. It probably is done now. And that was top priority evidently, and that was with no permit. And I wanted to thank Logan with, he's a damaged person with Magellan Pipeline. He was made aware of this because every couple of days a spotter plane comes over and checks the gas lines for leaks. And they asked him if he knew about that, and he said no, and so he got out there right away and had a heated argument with discussion with Tony, and said he's still on my radar. And the Free Press ran an article last Saturday regarding, I don't know where to come up with this decibel reading on my bikes, 30 to 70 decibels, with the lower reading about as loud as a whisper. I don't think they idle that low. And because where we are, I mean, there's not much trees between us and the track really, but we've got a lot of trees between us and County 16, Highway 22, and Blue Earth 90. We hear traffic on all of those, especially semis Jake breaking down 90, and then, but they're there and then they're gone. It's not something constant that we have to listen to. And at the Planning Commission meeting, it was very open-ended as to who would be using. Tony left it as family and guests, which could mean from 1 to X amount, we don't know. Said his daughter is training for competition, working on turning professional. With that, she'll practice more with high revving of the engine and want other riders for her competition, if she's going to improve it all. With that comes more noise and hours of operation. In closing, I would seriously hope you would not approve the motocross track or any other motorcycle-related endeavors on either of the 2 parcels owned by Tony. And I would also like that the jumps being track can be completely removed, leveled to the agricultural condition when purchased. And this would hopefully alleviate any temptation for future use of the track. So, thank you for listening to our concerns. And I'm not a big fan of after the fact interim use permits and stuff. It's just, okay, I know it's wrong, but if I get caught, I'll beg for forgiveness. So and that's what we got here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Fred.
Anyone else wishing to make comment on PC 13-26?
I'm sorry, I guess I didn't sign the list. My name's Bonnie Jacobson. I live at 56605 192nd Lane. I have contacted all of you and expressed my concerns and talked with 4 of you. And thank you, Kevin, for coming out last night and listening to our concerns. What can I say to stop this track? The noise that will come from the motocross and the noise that will come from the motocross bikes. I guess the only good thing I can say is that when I get up in the morning and look out my kitchen window, I see these hills, which will remind me of the sand hills in Nebraska, which is where I'm from, because that's what it looks like over there. The bike track is 686 feet or 0.13 miles from my home. I am the closest property to the bike track. Mr. Marble has already developed the track and is now asking for an after the fact interim use permit, so now he's requesting permission for something he's already done. I could quote all the distances and decibels, but you already have that information in Minnesota Rule 7030.0040. I would also like to quote from page 4 of PC 13-26, dated July 1, 2026. Quote, "It should be noted that Blue Earth County staff are permitting the Marble project as an IUP based on the thresholds for grading and earth movement, not specifically for personal practice area, for the personal practice area." Also a quote from PC 13-26, dated July 1, 2026, under findings section B, quote, "The applicants have expressed that there is a need for a dirt bike practice area in the county. It doesn't sound like a personal practice area if there is a need for one in the county. I can see the track from my house and from my deck and will undoubtedly hear the noise, as will my neighbors. My husband and I moved to Mankato in 1989 and spent 2 years looking for a house in the country where it would be quiet. Now, after 35 years, it's about to change, and I feel it's very disrespectful to force this dirt bike track on the residents living in this area. How are we to fight this? It's already built. Fred and Deb have lived there for 35 or 40 years, and Jeff Meyer has lived there for 50 years. I am politely requesting that the permit not be granted. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to PC 14-26?
Brady Dreyer, 821 Nicollet Avenue, North Mankato. I own the property immediately adjacent to the west, a small 10-acre parcel, which I bought in 1991 for hunting land and possible future home site. This track is definitely going to screw up the hunting and will devalue the parcel for a home site, in my opinion. Also, I am a builder. Every building permit I've ever filled out asks how much dirt will be moved. I don't know if this was the case here, but obviously the interim use permit is for moving more dirt than was applied for. So I would request that this track be denied. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to make comment on PC 13-26?
My name is Deb Grolke. I live at 56604 192nd Lane. And first off, I'd like to thank Commissioner Papp for coming and visiting us last night and giving us information on the property. But I still would like to bring up my concerns because a dirt bike track in our neighborhood in which we've lived for over 35 years, purchased the property over 40. It's peaceful and quiet. We hear birds singing, a little bit of traffic on the 90 bypass, and I know that the dirt bike track would change all of that. There's no doubt in my mind. Even at 60 or 55 decibels, you hear that noise. At the last Planning Commission meeting, Kayla even commented that they realize that nobody wants a dirt bike track in their backyard. And that's exactly right. We don't, but it's going to be in our front yard. The track they've built isn't an ordinary backyard dirt bike track. It's a huge, wide track that is made to look like a competition size, huge track with several jumps and spaced properly to make it better for competition. She's training and riding for competition, like my husband and everyone has said. The noise will be louder than just riding around the neighborhood. She's going to be revving her engine to bring up her speed, building her endurance, and we're going to hear that noise continuously riding around the track. So I guess I'm hoping that you'll understand, and I'm hoping that this will not be passed and our quiet enjoyment of the property will continue. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else for PC 13-26? Come on up.
Is it possible to see, I haven't seen some of this new information. It hasn't been given to me. Can I see who
Josh,
signed this?
Josh, you get it too.
Who signed this? Someone. My name is Tony Marble. My address is 336 Harrison Avenue, North Mankato. So we are the new property owners, and we have a 15-year-old daughter. We didn't bring our family this time because the last one, our neighbors were to be not kind, to say the least, to the point I think where there's a sheriff here now. So I have we have a bunch of kids. We have a track athlete that's a multi-time state champion. Luca's a national champion 4 or 5 times. I'm sorry, this has been extremely stressful, and this is for my daughter. She may have a friend or two that will come to help train with her. And training usually lasts, if she's riding her dirt bike, we're usually riding for 20 minutes. Is about the time frame that we want to optimize her ability and have her on the track. And then she'll break for maybe another 15 minutes to an hour, and then do another 20-minute session. And we'll generally do 2 to 3 of those sessions, 20-minute sessions. And then that's what we do. She's trained all over the country. During the winter, she goes other places and trains. So it's not even like a gravel pit or something that operates all day long. This is, maybe 4 days a week and minimal time. And we will, Kayla and I are respectful, and we want to be respectful of our neighbors. And I think if you talk to the county that we've worked with, we're more than respectful. We're more than willing to work with the county and our neighbors. Our neighbors have not given that back to us, or not even an attempt to let us talk with them. We have a track at my family home in Rapidan Township as well that we built, and so this just kind of seemed like something that this has been a lifetime goal, you know, is to build up and to be able to do this for our family and build a cool house. And we haven't continued with the house until we get through this, because this is kind of a nightmare process. And just try and touch on a few of their concerns. So one thing is it's not an all-day thing. It really needs to be known that you can't ride a motocross bike at this level for that long. I would also note that I look at our north neighbor who signed the petition has a far greater motorcycle infrastructure installed on their property. I mean, way more than we do. So right to the north, our immediate neighbor has a giant, you know, they have 100 and some acres all carved out with motorcycle trails. So this is and we have another neighbor that had four-wheelers out playing. This is and motorcycles are inherently dangerous. It's not something that you want to invite a bunch of people that you don't know out and risk your property. Blue Earth County has been great to work with, as long as Rapidan Township, so I'm sure their recommendation, I think we've done what they've asked, and thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Excuse me, it takes a while to stand up. It's small chairs without arms.
I understand.
My name is Jeffrey Meyer. I live at 56618 1 East 92nd Lane. Next to Jerry, the owner of Webb Construction, who just recently built on his land. I've lived there for between 48 and 50 years. I actually can't remember when I first moved in and rented it. I've enjoyed my neighbors. I mean, I used to live out there and be able to walk around naked. There was no one came in. Postman drove up to my front door or walkway, dropped the mail in. It's all changed. But I've had wonderful neighbors. I have no problem with Tony and his family building. I actually think a racetrack is pretty cool for his kids. But I'm concerned about, I think there was another proposal for Fairmont area for a racetrack. I thought I saw that on the thing. Anyway, I had friends that raced for many years, their children. And I know the amount of training and work it takes. But I find it hard to believe that they won't invite a few friends out for competition racing to get her into speed. That's my concern. So I would say, if there is desire to have their friends out, it'd be a limited number at a limited times, and not something that they could just, you know, have a little party or let's have a race competition. That's my concern, because that would increase the traffic tremendously. But as far as their use of the property, I don't have a whole lot of disdain for it. I find it a little hard to believe, though, that they didn't come to the Planning Commission before they built this, and now it's all conditional use or interim use. I think that would have been a better way to go about it if they're concerned about our personal status of the situation, and if they were concerned about it was no problem. Why didn't they come ahead of time? So that's my few words on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to PC 13-26? We will close the public comment portion of the hearing. Any other comments from the board?
Got a couple of clarifying questions, Madam Chair.
Sure.
First, for staff, where that was brought up about building permits and on that. And as I understand it, this they applied for and received a building permit before work began, whether it be the house or whatever. Do we ask it on the county, on our building permit about dirt removal? Is there, or is that city, if that was referencing city
We
or
do
county?
not have a question on our pre-application checklist for dirt movement. We have a section on the checklist that asks people to describe the project in general terms. Most of the construction checklist is focused on structures.
Okay.
So,
And this, today's work is for an interim use permit for the moving of dirt.
Correct.
And things like that, where we have an ordinance, if it's over 500 cubic yards or greater than 1 acre, which would be in this case. If I didn't have on my bingo card, Madam Chair, we'd have 2 motocross tracks in one meeting back to back. But the next one is kind of the same, but it's different because that's in a shoreline area, correct? And where there it's a, what is it, 50 foot or 50 cubic yard and things like that as we look at that. But the interim use permit, here we're looking more for natural resources, environmental things, making sure they conform with the land use plan, whether it's floodplain, shoreland, water quality, quantity, erosion, and things like that. And then which also triggers the septic, the well, wetland reviews and things like that. So this permit is really more, I would say, natural resources and environment based county land use plan.
we would agree.
It's been clear in here that this is for personal use and not intended for the public, because if it was intended for the public, then a conditional use permit would be also required, which is its own set of standards or conditions, that's a conditional uses, conditions in another separate process.
Correct.
So this is clearly with that. My second question is, seems like noise is one of the biggest concerns. And I don't know a lot about dirt bikes, but I do have 2 boys. And I know that my youngest has the same pickup as he had when he was 18, but it sounds a whole lot different today as a father of 2 at 35 than it did. In fact, I think the 18-year-old, the bumper sticker was "Loud Pipes Save Lives." If we have some noise concerns, even with personal use type thing, and I don't know a lot about dirt bikes, as far as, are there some things we can do for that? I mean, I think quite frankly, those of us in the county are well versed on berms and noise and stuff with our public works, whether it's noise, lights, dust, things like that. What do we have down the road if we do see higher decibels, and I don't know, is there things that they can do as a practice to help make the bikes quieter, whether it's engineering, but are there other things, vegetation makes a big difference, things like that, if we get into noise complaints?
I can help address this. Jane, do you want to go first?
Yeah, and then you can fill in any pieces I'm missing. So we did previously, not for this project, but for a different project, we did reach out to MPCA and they did volunteer their testing equipment. So if at any point we wanted to check rates to see if it happens to be close, we can do that. And as far as your question on mitigation, you're right. I mean, obviously we can berm, we can, I think the applicants did offer a series of, I think arborvitae or
vegetative
screening. So they did offer that as an option as well.
Then my last clarifying question is on the gas pipeline or pipelines. There's multiple pipelines maybe in different areas and things like that, and how that's affected. I farm with 2 gas pipelines going through my farm, so I see the plane every 3 days, and I know people, if you're out in the field with a backhoe, the pilot throws a rock out the window with a note on it that tells you to stop. That's the honest God truth. In about 15 minutes, a pickup shows up, wanting to know, because you need to, call before you dig type thing and safety. Are these pipelines existing all being used? Are some been abandoned and filled? Some are affected maybe by this and some weren't. Is that?
I can fill in on that. So we're familiar with the multiple pipelines going through the property. When the property was being reviewed, there was a lot of due diligence to make sure that any standards the pipeline has are being met. They have an easement in place on either side, and their concern is that no structures are within that easement. Dirt is dirt. They don't have concerns about that. There is a stretch of vacated pipeline that traverses the subject property west to east, east to west. There's another pipeline that runs along the western boundary, and there is no structure anywhere near that pipeline. It runs pretty much adjacent to what would be Tony and Kayla's driveway.
So the pipeline closest is vacated?
Correct.
Okay. And then just my last thing is, I too want to thank everybody that's called, and whether it's phone calls, county fair conversations, our meeting last night, everybody's been professional on this. I've learned a lot about this, and hopefully we can work through this to make sure if it does become a problem. I think we heard from Tony that his willingness. I don't want to compare motocross tracks to hog barns, but I will, just in trouble. If we've got a track where they're living on that, they want to enjoy the same things in that area of everything else. It's been my experience, maybe more statewide than Blue Earth County in my former Farm Bureau role, is there's a whole lot difference between building a hog barn on the land either you or your family owns and lives on and deals with every day than building a hog barn in the middle of a whole bunch of other people when you drive to town to live in town that day. So I'm glad to see that this will be on, on their residence and things like that. I think that helps police things a little bit better, and it certainly gives you control, making sure of what's going on. So with that, those are all my questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I got one. So we hear today that there's another track in the area. Webb Construction has got a motor track. Is that what you said, Tony? What?
No, sir, I'm talking on the south end of our property.
Okay,
I
so
wouldn't brought that up, but they're on a petition to
no.
not
But
have
there's
go
another
roads.
track being used, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Have we received any complaints on that track?
No, Commissioner.
Sheriff? Never. So is that track being used for the same purpose that this track is being used?
It is my understanding that it is. It's a
And we
family.
never received a complaint?
Correct.
Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, if I may, Kevin summed up a lot of the things that I wanted to visit about, but we've run into these issues many times in the past. When something new is coming to town, it is challenging. It is unfortunate that it's an after the fact. But at least we're getting the permit done the correct way. I think in my experience anyways, being on the board, that we put these conditions in place and people have an avenue to express their concerns, and we've fixed things. We've closed down a compost facility that wasn't properly ran. Very difficult for the landowners, but we do have mechanisms in place to do that. And from my understanding, the discussions I've had with the staff, is that if they weren't moving the dirt, this could be the same exact track and they could run it all day long without a permit.
That is
Just so
correct.
I'm clear.
That's correct.
Because that's the only reason why we're talking about it, is because they're making piles of dirt of more than 500 cubic square feet. So I think we can all get through this. I will be supporting this today. And I appreciate all your extra work and Kevin's and the landowners, because this is how we get things done. So, thank you, staff.
May I say something? No?
Public comments over.
We let Tony answer, let's ask.
All right, we'll let you go.
It'll be brief.
From the chair.
In defense of the track that he's talking about, it's not really, it's like I would let my kids, it's their property, and the kids are driving their dirt bikes around it. And I can hear their dirt bikes. It's at the bottom of the hill behind my house, and it would be no more than my boys running around on my property with a dirt bike. It's not actually a track that's built down there. Yeah, they've got trails through their property, but it's totally different than having what Tony has built. That's all I have to say, in defense of the people that have that property.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for bending the rules for my constituents.
Just for you.
It
Anybody?
is my birthday, you know.
It is. It is. We'll sing later.
Watch what I say.
Any comments from you guys?
No, we're happy to answer any questions.
Okay.
We took notes and we're happy to address anything.
Great. Are we ready to vote?
I would make a motion to approve it with the planning and zoning's recommendations with our new number 2, now that I lost that page. New number 2 recommendation.
The condition?
Condition, sorry, thank you.
That was the one with the hours.
Yep, hour 7, and this has been talked about with the applicant?
Yes.
Okay, with those hours and prohibiting the spectators and all that stuff.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I will second it.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now we'll ask for the final item of the day.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The final item is PC 14-26. The applicant is Joseph and Samantha Hunt, and the request is an after-the-fact interim use permit for grading to allow the cumulative movement of more than 50 cubic yards of material in a shoreland area for a personal use dirt bike track. The site is located in the northwest quarter of the southeast quarter, section 30, Jamestown Township, and it's in the shoreland district of Albert Lake and is zoned agriculture. At the Planning Commission meeting, staff presented the report. The applicant was present and confirmed the information in the report. There was no comments provided by the public, and following discussion, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to forward a recommendation for approval to the county board based on the findings and conditions prepared by staff. And this track is about a 3-acre disturbance. Movement was over 50 cubic yards, probably in the little over 100 cubic yards of movement of material. The applicant is planning to remove fill from the lower area of the track and move that to the north, and also reduce the overall impervious surface area of the track to fall under the MPCA standards. And the board action today is passage of a resolution based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission.
Thank you. So at this time, we will open the public comment portion of the hearing. If you would like to make a comment regarding PC 14-26, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Anyone wishing to speak to PC 14-26? Anyone wishing to make a comment? All right. Seeing no one, we're going to close the public comment portion of the hearing. Any discussion from the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And this concludes the planning and zoning items. Thank you.
They beat drainage, don't they?
Today.
Today, yeah. We'll move on to Public Works. Ryan?
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning, Ryan.
Thank you for allowing me a few minutes this morning to get a couple of action items that we want to keep moving, taken care of. The first item for consideration is State of Minnesota Agency Agreement number 1062832 for federal participation in State Project 007609017. That is for construction engineering on County State Highway 9 bridge replacement project over the Blue Earth River. This is for the county reimbursement for county staff time and consultants that we would hire for, say, material testing and things of that nature for construction of the bridge. So again, we intend to construct using our own staff for construction delivery and construction observation, contract administration, and then we'll have to consult out for some of those special services like material testing. So this would reimburse us with a combination of federal and state funds for said work. Total reimbursement amount is estimated at $1,256,604. With that being said, I would recommend approval of this MnDOT agreement.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you very much. A motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, action item number 2 is a resolution for agency agreement for federal participation in construction engineering supporting the agreement that was just approved by the county board. I would recommend approval of said resolution.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
So does that mean we're going to start up yet this year?
Yep, we're advertised for bids right now, actually.
All right.
We're hoping to award in September. And I think we're getting traction on our permits.
Awesome.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And last but not least is a change order for our 2026 bituminous overlays contract for state project number 007-610031. This is for County State Aid Highway 10, placing the final lift of the bituminous wearing course over the road that was reconstructed beginning last year and completed this year. I think there was some miscommunication between staff on whether or not that would be added as a change order under the CSA 10 construction project or included in the overlays. And so a short segment, the eastern segment from 20 to 32 was added. However, the western piece to the county line was not included in the overlay plan. So this is adding that to the overlay contract. It still has work remaining to do. This was budgeted in our transportation improvement plan. For the total segment, I had almost $1.2 million budgeted in the 2026 TIP, so it's not unanticipated cost for our project. This would be the final wearing course to get us to 10 tons.
We'll do
Read your mind.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
All right, thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Drove on it yesterday for the first time. Now, if you could get One County to fix that bridge,
I'll do my best.
I could still get to St. James.
Have a good day.
Thank you. And we will move on to Human Services. Bill. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
No action items.
There it is. Yeah, we can breathe for a minute.
Well, it all depends on how long you're going to talk on informational. So.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, I was going to comment on that, Commissioner Vance, just that we ebb and flow in human services, and at the end of the year there's big volume and the rest of the year is small volume, but then every once in a while we don't have any action items. So that's this month, so we'll take it. Yeah, not very often, that's correct. Thank you for hearing us today. I have Andy Carr with me, and Andy, as you know, runs our mental health center, chemical health, and Yellow Line project. And today we're going to talk about detox in particular and the Yellow Line project. And you will see a direct correlation between what we've done in Yellow Line and how our detox utilization costs have been over time, which is a good thing. So I'm just going to hand it over to him, and if there's questions for either him or I as we go through the materials, we will do our best to address those. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. As you can see from the first slide here, as we look at the 2025 detoxification costs, last year we spent as a county total $548,000. $133,000 of that was actually in client fees collected, so about 32% of what we spent we were able to recoup in client fees. Which is on par if we look at the last 10 years of detoxification expenditures. you do start to see kind of an ebb and flow between 2022 and 2025. It has gone down considerably. Part of that, like Phil had said, is because of the yellow line intervention, along with some changes that we have made as well of making sure that we're following up with people that have been in services. So if someone's been to detox more than 3 times in 6 months, we meet with them as best we can, as we're able to be able to help get them other services as needed. So in this year, we did go from having 4 providers down to 3 providers that we work with, and those costs do go from $450 to $500 per day for those. By far, our biggest person that we use for detox would be Brown County, the Brown County Evaluation Center, and they have stayed pretty consistent with their fee of about $500. So it went up a little bit from last year, and we anticipate that to continue to be the same going into next year. Before I go into yellow line, is there any questions on the detoxification services? Okay. And then we have a quick overview of our 2025 yellow line project evaluation outcomes. So in the last year, the first that you will see here is yellow line screenings that were offered and completed in 2025. You will see they continue to be pretty consistent. They did go down a little bit. Some of that is due to us going from 2 community-based coordinators down to 1.25. As you see, that went from 1,400 in 2024 down to 960. However, the number of people that were completed for screenings did stay pretty close to our average, which is good. On the next slide, if you look at referrals made to the Yellow Line project, that continues to be pretty consistent. And some of that has changed from 2025 to 2026 as we continue to be more out in the community than just stationary within the jail. We do still work with the jail quite frequently as they're releasing inmates out into the public. The jail social worker will reach out if they need additional supports. We are working with other community partners, however, including Mankato Police, Salvation Army, Connections, and so forth. The next slide, if we look at individuals screened as eligible and referred to Yellow Line, that again has gone down a little bit, but it stayed pretty consistent with our year over year from 2023 to 2025 specifically. We had a little more staff capacity in 2024, so that allowed for a little more of us to be able to screen more individuals at that time. And then the caseloads, it's a little skewed due to the fact that we did go from that 2 to 1.25, so of course the caseloads are going to go up, but the caseload does continue to be consistent with what we would expect within the Yellow Line projections. The last slide that we have for you today is going to be the Yellow Line community-based coordinator, what they spend most of their day doing. Now, we don't have 100% time reporting. It's not what CareLogic set up for, so this is our best evaluation that we could put together is 30% of their time is providing weekly contacts or attempts of contacts with the participants on their caseload. That could even be as much as a text or actually going and meeting with the person, whatever that person needs, what's in their plan. The second biggest thing, and I would say this has continued to go up, especially in this year, would be actively engaging and collaborating with our partners out in the community. Again, that's Mankato PD, that's the Blue Earth County Sheriffs, Salvation Army, Connections, and others. One of the other ones, actually this afternoon, we have a meeting with MSU to start working with their security team and their student resource team as they've asked for help, as they have officer-involved students that have officer involvement. So if there's a welfare check or they have a student that's going through a mental health or substance use crisis, we would then be able to help and connect them to resources that I guess has become more acute in the last year or so. So we're very excited for that.
I'm sure if I could just say that's a really big deal for us, just to add a whole population, and certainly with the college to build a bridge with them. It's not that they haven't always been our partner, but it hasn't been as close as maybe we're heading towards now. And so from a program side, to get a referral is one thing. To get a whole referral catchment area like MSU is a really big deal. So I really am pleased with that development, and hopefully we can, like I say, build a pretty substantial bridge between ourselves, Yellow Line, and the college. And colleges, I think it's fair to say that we
Yeah.
work with all the
We
colleges
work,
in
yes.
town. Yeah.
Yep.
Is that it?
That's it. Try to keep
That's
it short.
That's what
Short and
we did.
quick.
We did talk about that as we saw the parking lot. We're like,
Yeah.
So, any questions for us in that or in any regard before?
So, in your opinion, I'm on the board for the detox center in New Ulm. In your opinion, have we cut the amount of people that we've sent to the detox center over the last few years?
Yeah, and I think the biggest
I
return.
mean, Blue Earth County is still the biggest.
For sure.
I mean, if
For
it
sure.
wasn't for Blue Earth County, there couldn't be a detox center.
Right, and
That's just the way
it's
it
a
is.
very backwards viability thing. We've talked about that with child protection too, is numbers go down and the business model starts to be impacted, but it's not like we want numbers to be up necessarily. On the other hand, to make Brown County viable, we have to be that bigger payer in the mix, otherwise they're not going to be consistent. Andy worked with Brown County quite a lot to try to get more medically advanced detox option, and it still hangs out there, but it didn't come to fruition. So building some of that extra capacity would, I think, solidify that as far as making sure that we're capturing all our needs, and those really high-end folks are the hardest to serve, which is the other part of that question, which I know, Commissioner, you're knowledgeable about, but our repeats, which Andy mentioned in his data, has been our biggest return on investment. If we can intervene, especially through something like Yellow Line, and try to find a different track, get somebody who is resistant to go to treatment, and buy time, and sometimes there are relapses, this is the world I came from, and yet all of those successes add up. And so I think the biggest influencer on that is the revolving doors, that we try to not, I'm using a lot of metaphors here, but be on the ride of just in and out, in and out, in and out. I think it's really hard on law enforcement, and I think that person really does spiral down. They don't, people say, I'm doing fine, I'm doing the same. They're not. They're doing worse, worse, worse. And so we have to step in, and that's our biggest target. To your question, is looking at those folks and then trying to identify them through first support staff, and then hand over referral and go see if they'd be willing to partner with us and get help. It is a voluntary program. We can't make them unless the courts get involved, or a commitment, but which happens. But yeah, those are all of our pieces. And so I think the summary statement is the overall numbers are down this year. It could come back up next year, and I don't know if that surprises us. Sometimes it's circumstances and you know, just anomalies in a family or in a person, and then all of a sudden we have a rash of folks that need detox. And for whatever reason, child protection has always been the same exact way, just high tide, and then kind of empties out, and then there'll be like all kinds of cases again. And I have not been able to track any kind of quantitative reason for that. So detox can be that way, but right now our numbers are lower, and I think it's because we're trying to intervene quickly. I just want to say there's a few people, yeah, Andy, but in law enforcement that are kind of our champions too, and willing to go that extra mile. And we all know over the years that there's always been a few people like that that are just like, they're looking for ways to intervene with people that are hard to serve.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. So first off, like Phil had said, all it takes is someone who has a higher acuity that's in detox that has to be there for several days instead of the normal, 2 or 3 days. That can also impact the budget. I think withdrawal management's a great thing, that if they're able to do that at Brown County, which was the plan at one point. Now I know they have a new director, so it'll be interesting. I haven't had a chance to meet with them yet. I'm very excited to do that and kind of talk through that, because I think that level of care is greatly needed within our system. And then also I think it's important to note that we meet as a collaborative outreach team with all of the community supports, which includes the detox center, once a month, and talk about maybe cases where there is someone who is repeatedly either in detox, or someone who has multiple phone calls into law enforcement, and hey, what can we do with this person? They might not meet this level of criteria or need, but how can we get them into other services? And Yellow Line is instrumental in making sure that we're able to get them kind of fit in those gaps to get them to where they need to go.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Good to
guys.
see you.
Thanks for the
Thank you.
reports at the work session the other day, too. That was very informative.
We really appreciate the time and this time as well. Thank you all.
So we'll move on to administration.
All right, Madam Chair, the first item is the approval of the minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second for the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Next, we have 3 weeks of bills for approval.
Yes, we do.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next, we have the Human Resources agenda, all informational items. We do have the resignation of our Human Services Director and then the recruitment initiated for the Human Services Director position. We have an employment of a social worker as an adult behavioral health case manager, an employment of an assistant county 1 in the Civil Juvenile Human Services Division, promotion from a probation officer to a corrections supervisor in the Community Corrections Department, and employment of a maintenance technician 1, resignation of a part-time correctional officer, and a recruitment initiated for the part-time correctional officer. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. All right, the next item we have is we have our donations for the first and second quarter. If you look through the donations, the vast majority of those is donations for the library, oftentimes for collection, and a lot of those for the summer learning program. In the first quarter donations, we also do have a donation for public safety for the sheriff's office, and also a couple donations for the veterans van. Then also donations by in-kind and for volunteering. And in the second quarter, we also have, again, more mainly donations looking at the library, looking at their general fund system and the summer learning program. So I would respectfully request approval of those donations of acceptance.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
All right, then the last item is the financial status report for June 30th of 2026. You'll see once again, we continue to be really on track for our revenues, what we have here year to date. Also, I would say the same and for our expenditures at this point in time. Enterprise fund, pretty much unchanged from the last month as we really looked at. The big thing is that machinery and equipment that were done this spring for that machinery out at the Ponderosa. And then looking at where we're at for county cash and investment balances. For 6 months operating, we're sitting at that about $93 million for those operating needs. And then for dedicated funds, we're looking at total sitting at this point is about $155 million. Any questions or comments regarding this financial status report?
Any questions?
Okay, nothing further.
All right. Commissioners' reports. Kevin.
All right, since our July 7th board meeting, participated in a JD 16 and a JD 49 meeting that afternoon. On the 9th, we had drainage work group. I also attended the Soil and Water Conservation District monthly meeting and mayors and clerks. July 13th was the Minnesota River One Watershed, One Plan Policy Committee meeting. 14th participated at the PACE Committee meeting, as well as the work session number 8. On the 16th, we had a CD 47 landowner meeting, and the 17th was GABERBA Policy and Technical Committee. July 23rd to 26th was the Blue Earth County Fair. I wasn't there for all of it, but I got over 30 hours in there. And just, I want to stop and just thank all our staff. You know, we had over 20 staff, whether it's administration, the deputies, dispatch, jailers. We had a lot of good representation there. We even had some county folks that were stopping by either with their families or whatever. But I think we do a lot of goodwill at that fair, and it's not only having a presence there if needed be for an emergency, but appreciate that. I wasn't at it because I was at 4-H event, but I heard good things about the canine demonstration. It's always good to be able to have people see what we've got for infrastructure and things like that. So I want to thank everybody that participated in that. And then yesterday was a rural Minnesota Energy Board meeting I participated. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Kip.
All right, Kevin already mentioned a couple of the ditch items in the planning and zoning meeting we had. I was at Mayors and Clerks also, which I think everybody enjoyed the tour of the shop out there, so that worked out really well. The only other committee meeting that I have had the last couple of weeks was the MVAC annual meeting, and we honored all of the recipients of the Supporter Awards and the Achiever Awards up at the venue. Program went really well, things are going well there. And then several landowner meetings, still working on County Ditch 77, 93, 89, and then some gravel road issues and road ditch issues the last few weeks. And that's my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Vance.
All right. After our board meeting on the 7th, I had a Zoom meeting with the NACO ambassadors, getting ready for the conference. Mayors and clerks on the 9th. Detox board meeting on the 13th, along with a work session on the 14th. From the 16th through the 21st, I was at the NACO annual conference. On the 22nd, I was at Blue Earth Nicollet County TZD. On the 23rd, I had Transportation Alliance Board of Directors meeting. And on the 24th, I had a speed limit discussion with Chair O'Connor and Ryan Tilges. And that leads me up to this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark.
Let's see, July 7th was this joint drainage meeting with Faribault County, and then July 9th, mayors and clerks. And then, of course, then our July 14th was with the county board work session. So, includes mine.
Great. I too attended the Mayors and Clerks and thought it was a great event. On the 13th, the Lunch and Learn with AMC. On the 14th, the work session. And then I too was at NACO. And met with the county engineer on the 24th. And that's the end of my report. And we need to recess.
Move to recess.
I have a motion to recess.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are recessed.